Hello everybody, it's Julia here from the Highly Sensitive Tarot, and I'm back today to do a VR. This is my third attempt. The first time I sat down, the cat jumped in the middle of everything on top of my candle and everything. That was a bit of a drama. And the second time I tried to move my camera holder, my phone holder that's, the thing that's holding this up, and it just fell off the table completely because it wasn't screwed down to the table properly. So much fun already. So I'm recording this on the Sunday after Christmas in the morning in my dressing gown. I've really wanted to have a go at this tag for a while, but I knew that I'd be distracted and a bit overwhelmed with all the Christmassy things and new decks and everything like that. So I thought it would be a really nice VR to do just after Christmas. You know, it's often a time, isn't it, of reflection. So I thought this hashtag tarot reunion would be a good video to do just after Christmas. I hope everybody had a lovely Christmas day, whatever you were doing and with whoever, that you all had a really peaceful and happy and a good time full of lots of nice food. I certainly did. I cooked for family and we all sort of squashed into my little bungalow, but it was really, really nice, actually, really nice. So as I said, this is hashtag tarot reunion, and this is a VR to Amy at Intuitive Whispers. And there's no prompts for this tag. It's really just looking back over your deck collection and looking at decks that you haven't chatted to for a while, you know, and we've all got plenty of those for one reason or another. I think my deck collection is currently at something like 220 decks, so it's impossible to get to them all, isn't it? And sometimes decks that you worked with a lot, they then get put on the shelf and you don't look at them again for ages. And that's kind of what most of these decks are, to be honest. So the first one I've got here is Tarot Landscapes, and it's by Francesca Mattioni and Yoshi Mari, and it's a Vivida deck. And I'm really not sure how long I've had this deck, maybe 2 or 3 years. It's quite a new deck, isn't it? And when it came, I just absolutely fell in love with it. I mean, there's no people, or there might be one person in this deck, I'm really not sure. But it's mostly animals and landscapes. And it is beautiful. It reads so well. There's everything that you need in these cards without people and without facial expressions, which is often something that I struggle with. You know, I usually like to see the expression on people's faces or see them doing something. You know, like animal decks are fine so long as the animals are actually doing something that you kind of recognise. But isn't it beautiful? Look, such a lovely deck. So I shall probably sometime in the spring or early summer, I shall probably get this deck out and spend some time with it. Look how beautiful they are. All the birds. Look at that, look. It's like a little wren, isn't it? So many birds, actually. I'd forgotten how many birds there are in this deck. So yeah, this is Tarot Landscapes, and I know a fair few of you have got this deck and love it. Lots of trees, lots of birds, lots of fish, and just all sorts of creatures. It's gorgeous. It's one of my favourite decks. And I think, you know, like I said, I spent a lot of time with it when I first got it. And then I guess other decks came along, didn't they? And this got put on the shelf, but I think this definitely needs to come out and talk to me again. Okay, so the second deck, I think I've got 10 actually to show you. The second deck is the Creatures Tarot. And I think the reason why I've pulled this out is because I've seen it on, excuse me, I've seen it on other people's channels recently, because I think there's been either a new edition of this. There's definitely been an Oracle deck out recently, hasn't there? And again, this was a deck that when it first arrived, I played with it a lot. It's Considering All You Get. And who is this by? sarahkathleen.co.uk. This is a little indie deck. I don't remember where I bought it, possibly Etsy. But yeah, it's sarahkathleen.co.uk. But I think I'd seen it on Elizabeth's channel recently at the in More Intuitive Me, and I just thought, oh, I really did enjoy this deck, because considering all you get really is these little creatures that have no facial expressions, and there's not really a great deal else in the cards, it does read really well. I find it quite a talkative deck actually, which is surprising, isn't it? But there's everything that you need here. I mean, it's a tiny bit pippish, isn't it? But not horribly so. I'm not a fan of pips, really. I just, to me, and I know a lot of people will go, oh, Julia. But for me, a pip deck is a bit of a waste of an opportunity for more art, I think. You know, for me, a lot of what my enjoyment of tarot decks is the artwork and the imagery that I'm looking at. So it's like the backs of cards. I often think, well, that's a wasted opportunity, isn't it, to put something that's not, you know, not that interesting on there. Like the backs of these cards, they're not fantastic. You would have thought they could have done something a bit better. And there's a lot of decks like that, isn't there? Some decks have got amazing backs, but some are quite dull, I suppose. I just think it's a bit of a wasted opportunity. So yeah, this is the Creatures Tarot. It's lovely, isn't it? Look at the Hermit, look in the tree. How funny. He's right at the top of the tree. The Hanged Man is like a bat-like creature. The High Priestess, bless. The Empress. The Fool, look, this sort of dragony type creature. It makes me laugh, it makes me smile. I just think it's such a cool deck. Okay, so the next two decks are decks that I bought to use together actually, because I thought that they would pair up really well. And you know, I have not used either of them. I must have had them a year or so, I guess. Not that long. But it is the Tarot of 1001 Nights, Leon Carr, Lo Scarabeo deck. Taken from the Tales of 1001 Nights. And it's a beautiful little deck. I mean, the backs of the cards are stunning, aren't they? It's such a beautiful little deck. And you know, I know, well, let's just show you a few of these first. Or shall we have a look at both of them actually? Then the Wisdom of Hafiz. I think I have used this more than I've used the tarot deck. This is by Daniel Ladinsky and Silas Tobol and Angie Sullins. This is the Spirit of Sufi, the poet, 45 gilt-edged card deck, US Game Systems. What a beautiful little box. What a beautiful little deck. Look at that, look. It's gorgeous. Really nice little guidebook with colour pictures. Really nice. And the cards are beautiful. Sorry about that, I'm bashing the camera. Look at the backs, look. Lovely gilding, really nice oracle deck. And like I said, I bought it to go with 1001 Nights because I knew that it would look beautiful with it. I knew that the aesthetics of it would work really well. And when I'm looking at a pairing, that's what I'm looking at generally, is the aesthetics. Look how beautiful that is. But I know why I haven't used the tarot deck in particular, is because the images are so small. And I mean, I have to wear glasses for looking at this kind of distance now anyway. But there's so much detail. These cards are so intricate. There's so much to look at in them. I think this, you know, if I was going to use this deck, it would have to be just for my own use and just as like a kind of study deck, I think. Maybe trying to learn a bit and remember a bit about some of the Arabian Nights stories, because I used to absolutely love those when I was a child. There's a piece of music, isn't there, called Scheherazade. Can't remember who it's by, but it's all beautiful violins, and you know, I really love the whole thing, the aesthetic and, you know, all of it, the stories. So I'd probably have to use it in that way. Wow, look at that, look. And I guess it's just another one of those decks that I've just not really had the time to do that with. And perhaps this year I should really try and make the time, because I really am going to try to have a low buy year this year. I know I said that probably last year, but I've got so many decks that I've not really given enough attention to. And new decks now that came for Christmas as well, which I haven't shown you. So I think if I'm going to buy decks this year, I think they're probably going to be indie decks or Kickstarters. I'm going to try to stay away from mass market decks for a while, because I've got so many. Yeah, so there we go. It's beautiful, isn't it? Absolutely beautiful. And I really must find time to sit and work with it a bit and look up the stories. Let's just have a look if the little guidebook actually tells you about the stories. It probably doesn't. No, it doesn't. So that's going to make it harder, isn't it? Well, we'll see. It is beautiful, and I love both of these decks, and I need to find a way to get them into my practice somehow or another. Okay, so next up we have another two. These are very old decks. I've had both of these for quite some time, the Morgan Greer and the Aquarian Tarot. I think they're both US games. I love a tarot deck in a tin. I just... I wish they all came in tins, to be honest. Oh, look at that, look, that's got bent. Oh, how's that happened? Oh dear. I'll have to try and flatten that, won't I? I tend, if I'm going to have a Rider-Waite-Smith strongly based deck, I tend to go for, you know, my Centennial in a tin, or I've got a bigger Borderless Radiant Wise deck. And I often just forget about these, really. And these are such cute, nice little decks. I think if I do think to pull these out, it's often for clarifying readings. Look at the beautiful backs. I'm probably more likely to pull them out to clarify a reading, just because they're small, you know, and you only have so much room on your table for these things. You can see, look, the Aquarian Tarot is in order. I have not used this deck in such a long time. I think the Morgan Greer I have. I think I may have done a reading with it or something with it. But, oops. Can't be having any nudity, can we? Dear, oh dear. But yeah, I love how sunny and bright the Morgan Greer is. I love the yellows and the blues. And the Aquarian Tarot, I think I bought more than anything just to collect, because it's a very collectible deck, I believe. But I do like the colour palette. It's very pastel-y. I like the pinks and the purples. They're very much in contrast to each other, really, in their colour palette, these. But they work really well together, I think. They look nice together. I'm sure many of you have both of these decks. You'll have to let me know if you actually use them regularly, or like me, whether they've just sort of sat on your shelves. This is beautiful. Look at that. Look, the star. So nice. So yeah, I really want to find a way to get these into my practice, or perhaps do some readings with them. I don't know whether all of you have seen, but I started a second channel just before Christmas that's going to be purely for readings. I'm going to keep highly sensitive tarot for VRs and deck studies and deck reviews and general obsessing about decks. And then I'm going to have the highly sensitive tarot readings channel for just readings. And at the moment I'm just reading for Virgo, because I'm a Virgo, sun and moon, and 6 places in my chart. So I think I feel Virgo quite strongly. So I thought I'd start off reading for Virgo, but I hope to do collective readings, or whatever I've got time and energy for, really. I don't know about you, but I find reading for myself all the time, I sometimes can't make sense of the cards, and I think because, you know, my own emotional state and my own thoughts are at play, sometimes I find it quite difficult to interpret the cards and align them to myself, you know. But I find the process of reading for other people very, very soothing and very relaxing, and I find that it flows much better. I mean, obviously, if you've got someone sat with you, or you're reading for a particular person, it's much, much easier. But I find just sitting recording videos for the collective, or for a star sign or a pick a card reading or whatever, I find them really soothing and relaxing to do. So that's really why I'm doing the second channel, is because I like to keep my hand in with reading, because I think that if you don't, you soon lose your your vocabulary around the tarot cards, as well as your intuition. You know, they're like muscles, I think, aren't they? And they need practice. So yeah. So I do hope, if you haven't subscribed and it might be something you're interested in, that you'll have a look. The link is on my About Me page. So there we go. That is the Aquarian Tarot and the Morgan Greer Tarot. And like I said, I think I'm going to use these for some readings this year. Okay, so we have 4 decks left, including this one. So this is the Tarot of Oneness by Robin Voicey. It's an 84 card deck. And who is it by? Don't know. Again, this is a deck that when it first arrived, look how beautiful that is inside the box. I used it a lot. This is 2023, so I must have used it a lot that year, and since it has sat on my shelf. This is a second edition, it looks like here. I still don't know who it's by, unless I'm being silly and not looking properly. I don't know. It's such a nice deck. Look at the inside, look, with the rabbit. I've done some beautiful readings with this in the past. Look at the lovely edging on it. It's sort of peachy coloured. Really pretty cards. Look how lovely that is. Look, this beautiful, look, Action of Cups there. Really nice. There are some extra cards in this, and they've also, some of the court cards, well, the court cards have been renamed. Look at the Empress, look. The Emperor. So gorgeous. This is a very intuitive deck. I love that there's so many animals in this deck. Again, I don't think there's many people. And then we have some extra cards like this one, Life Force and Energy. The Ace of Cups, look. The Nine of Cups, look, the Golden Egg. It's very intuitive, isn't it? Really pretty. Some of the cards not so great. I mean, like the Lovers, I like to see two people, because it's not just about love, is it? It's about choices and decisions. So I like to see two people in that card. But it's really, really pretty. Higher Self is another card that's an extra. So yeah, I would like to spend some time with this deck sometime next year. We're almost at 2026, aren't we? Oh, look, we've got another Lovers card. So we've got two. We've got a man and a woman. Well, I'd probably rather just have the one card and see them together. There, so there we go. It's a nice deck. Very intuitive. Look, we've got oneness there. Present moment, synchronicity. Yeah, very, very intuitive reader, this deck. Okay, the next deck is the Circe Tarot. And you know, I'm trying to think where I saw this. This was in a VR just recently. And it made me think, God, you know, I have not had this deck out for ages. Again, this was one that when I first got it was a real favourite. It's a Lo Scarabeo deck, and by Fabio Vicentin. I'm not even going to say the next one. It's beautiful. Again, I think this was 2023. I probably got this deck. Yeah, 2023. I bought this new. Look at the beautiful backs. I think this deck is crying out to be edged, isn't it? Perhaps in a very deep red. But it's beautiful. It follows all the Greek myths. I think Circe was a enchantress, if I'm correct. I can't really remember. Let me look. I would hate to get that wrong. There's quite a few famous paintings, isn't it, if it's the same Circe, of her as like a high priestess, sort of magician type energy. So Circe is the first sorceress to appear in the Homeric tales. She's the forerunner of the alchemist, a divinity born of light and liquid element. A goddess whose skilled hands weave the royal garments of the gods. She surrounds herself with ferocious beasts that are brought back to an essential and primordial condition, rendered tame by her work. So yeah, she's a sorceress from Greek mythology. And you know, this deck reads beautifully. Look at that, look, that's so sweet. I love the colour palette. I love everything about this deck, to be honest. Look at the Page of Cups, look. Such a strange card. It's really, really nice deck. Whether you know anything about Greek mythology or not, or Circe, it follows the Rider-Waite-Smith themes pretty well. And it's a very easy reader, I've found. And again, I don't know why it got put back on the shelf, except for I probably just had other new decks come in that I wanted to spend time with, and there's only so much time, isn't there? Do you know, between the things I like to watch on YouTube, the books that I've got, my tarot decks, my garden, my family, there's no more time, is there? So there we go. Look at her. Look, the Empress. It's a really, really nice deck. Look at that. Look, the Five of Wands. I shall definitely be finding some time to spend with this. Or maybe, like I said, doing a reading with it, because it's a very easy reader. So yeah, that is the Circe Tarot. 2 decks left. So this is the Erenburg Tarot by Steve Erenburg. And you know, I was so excited to buy this, as were a lot of people, I think, at the time. This was another 2023 US Games deck. And I got it, and I think I may have used it once or twice, and then it got put on the shelf. I mean, it could even be in order. I don't know. And I don't know why, really, because it's a brilliant deck. It's got a really nice little guidebook. You get, you know, enough information. It tells you why the images have been chosen, which I like. It tells you what, you know, what you're actually looking at and why, which is always really helpful. They're lovely cards, really nice, slippy, slidey cardstock. Quite nice backs. Again, I think this deck would be nice edged, wouldn't it? It's not in order, I don't think. That's something. And you're just getting a very close-up perspective of a part of the card. You know, it's very Rider-Waite-Smith based, but you're getting a very close-up perspective of one card, of a part of the card, like in the Chariot. Normally you see the charioteer, the chariot, the horses or whatever. But here you're getting a close-up of these, I can't remember what they're called, the creatures that pull the chariot. Oh, that was my postman, if you heard that. The Two of Wands, often you see somebody, you know, looking out the window or thinking about going out, or, and here you just got the eyes looking at the world, you know. It's a really nice deck, and again, I just don't know why it kind of got put back on the shelf so quickly. I think my only excuse with most of these is that I just had too many decks at the time, and some decks just get bumped, don't they? Look at the Hanged Man. Look at his toes. I think this would give you very different readings because of the perspective that you're looking at. You know, even though it is a Rider-Waite-Smith based deck, I think that because of the different perspective, you would read this kind of differently. I think I need to just have a go. I mean, there is enough here, even though you're looking, like in this one here, the Nine of Cups, even though you're looking at a very close-up picture of someone's face and all their jewellery, I think it still does give you that vibe of, you know, it's like, you know, just looking at that card, you just sort of think, well, she's got it all, hasn't she? She's dripping in jewels, and, you know, if this is a wish fulfillment card, she's got all the riches, hasn't she? You know, the Queen of Wands here, she's got her cat. You know, I might have done her with brown eyes or orangey eyes just so that you get that fire thing there. But I don't know, maybe that's what's put me off, because I think most of the people in this deck have got very sort of pale blue eyes, and I don't know. Maybe that would have changed things for me. I'm not really sure. But I think this is a deck that I need to just have a go with, really, and see how it reads for me. Yeah, I do very much like it. I think I'm just struggling a bit with the different perspective of things. But yeah, that is the Erenburg Tarot. Okay, and the last deck that I've got to show you is the Sacred She Tarot by Mahadeva Padma. So this is the creator of the Osho Zen Tarot and the Tao Oracle, both of which I have. I'm a big fan of this creator. Excuse me. Oh, yeah, I'm a big fan of this creator. This is a Beyond Words publishing. And again, I think this was probably 2023. I seem to have got a lot of decks around that time. It's really colourful, look, beautiful pink and purple. And we've got the same sort of guidebook as you get with the Osho Zen, this shaped one. Lots of the cards. You know, we've got a box within a box, which I'm not that big a fan of. I would always be happy with decks just like this, really, with a separate guidebook. But you can see I've definitely spent time with this deck because I've edged it. Edged it this quite nice blue colour, which I thought went with the backs of the cards quite well. I bet they're all up the funny way, aren't they? Yeah, this is lovely. Like I said, I'm a big fan of the Osho Zen deck. That's been one of my long time favourites. I don't think this is based on Zen Buddhism like the other deck, but it may be. I'm not really sure. It says it's the third and most personal of my tarot and oracle offspring. The opportunity to reflect on my life's journey of seeking understanding and conscious awareness. Began the art for this deck in the hopes it would serve others in their quest for self-awareness. They represent a range of moods, encounters and opportunities in day-to-day life and within the dimension of spirit. Cards that feel troubling hold great potential. 78 artworks. So yeah, this is not particularly Zen Buddhism, but I know that she has changed, or he. I'm not sure who the person is actually. We've got the suit of spirit, the suit of earth, the suit of fire and the suit of water in this deck. And the colours of the cards at the bottom align with those things as well. Yeah. It's a beautiful, colourful deck and actually reads really, really well. It's a very intuitive deck. Yeah, look at this, look, the Two of Swords. Almost like, when I first looked at that, I was thinking knitting needles, but I don't know what that is. But she's tied up in knots, isn't she? Unable to move, unable to make a decision. It's a lovely deck, and like I said, it's a bit similar to the Tarot of Oneness in that it's showing you a sort of slightly different perspective on things. And do the court cards. I'm just looking. Sorry, I hope that this is interesting to you too. I'm just looking that, yeah, we don't have court cards in the traditional sense. We've just got cards that go from 1 to 14. So this one here is the suit of air, I believe, is it? No, it's not, is it? It's the suit of water. See, I wouldn't have thought that. You'd have thought the grey was the swords, wouldn't you? So this, yeah. So this is like the king of water? That doesn't seem right, does it? No, it is swords. Sorry, it's just how it's written in the guidebook. That's silly, isn't it? Look, the suit of air is 2 along the bottom there and then 2 along the top. I was following from the suit of water and then up there, but it's not. See, this shows, doesn't it, that sometimes when they change things too drastically and they mess with court cards and suits and all sorts of things, it can get quite confusing, especially if you haven't looked at the deck for quite a while. I like the keywords on the cards, like anxiety for the moon. Really nice, and different sort of takes on things, like this is the Two of Cups, isn't it? So imagination, that's quite nice. 5 of Swords, arrogance. Yeah, it's a really nice deck, and like I said, I think that I would have to really spend some time with it to be able, certainly to read for other people with it. I mean, it's different when you read for yourself, isn't it? Because there's no time pressures. Look at that. Really like that. But when you're reading in a video or for other people, you know, there are kind of pressures around that, aren't there? Look at that, look. Awful face. But it is a beautiful deck in its own way, and it is a very intuitive deck, I think. So I will definitely be working with that at some point this year. So there we go, 10 decks that I have not visited in some time. So it was nice to have a little reunion with them and look at them and realise that some of them I'd really forgotten even how the decks are structured. And hopefully, like I said, I will get to them this year. So maybe you'd like to have a go at this tag as well. I think it's a really nice tag for those of us with bigger collections that you often forget what you have, don't you, and what you enjoy as you get distracted by newer decks that come in. So thanks to Amy, and sending you all my love. Thanks for watching. Do say hello, and I'll see you all again soon.